Good evening.
Ganguly.
Good evening.
Let the record reflect the clerk. Trustee Foster is absent. Graham Hudek.
Good evening.
Let the record also reflect Clerk Segrist is in attendance. Slavens.
Good evening.
And Snyderman.
Hi.
Thank you. The next, can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for June 7th, July 19th, October 18th, January 24th, 2023, and February 7th, 2023?
So moved.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Bordinsky. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Can I guess we should, well, I can do this really quick. I'm going to move ahead, the retirement recognition of Police Captain Kennedy. So you guys have a little one that probably wants to not hang out here. So, Chief Chad, I will read this. I heard you had your retirement badge like taken away from you and given back to you like 6 times at different things. Oh, you don't have it. That's okay. We'll pretend. Whereas the Canton Police Department recognizes the importance of its employees, whereas in 2001, Michael Kennedy was hired as a police officer for the Canton Police Department, he promoted up through the ranks to the captain in 2022. Whereas early in his career, Michael worked in road patrol as an officer, simultaneously serving on numerous special units, including team instructor, evidence technician, and field training officer. Whereas during his promotions to sergeant and lieutenant, he served as a leader in nearly every aspect of the department, including platoon commander in the patrol division, and as both the special services and investigative lieutenant. Whereas throughout his career, Michael continued to advance his educational background, earning his master's degree in business administration and completing numerous specialized training courses, including Eastern Michigan University's Police Staff and Command School. Whereas Michael was one of the youngest officers to be hired into the department and grew into a self-motivated leader of his peers, leading by example and displaying passion and dedication in his service to the community and to the officers he worked with and supervised along the way. Whereas Michael was an active union board member for many years, representing police officers and command officers in their respective bargaining units. Whereas Michael has maintained the highest level of professionalism in every aspect of his service with Canton for the past 21 years. Resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton is appreciative of the commitment to excellent service as demonstrated by Captain Michael Kennedy. Further resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton does hereby recognize Michael Kennedy for his commendable contribution to the Canton community and the Canton Police Department.
Support.
Motion, okay. Motion made and supported by Clerk Seegers. Does the board want to say anything else? No?
Thank you for your
Thank you.
service.
Thank you for your years of service. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for the support over the years, 21 years in Canton, and I can say it was a wonderful place to work. It was a great community to live in. It's a great community to work in, so I appreciate all the support over the years. Most of you, or some of you, I've known for the majority of my career, and your support for the police department's appreciated. So thank you very much for your service as well.
Thank you. Would you like to take a picture with everybody? We'd like to take a picture with you. Come on up, family. Where do you guys want to go down? So,
Yeah, that was good.
very cute. Oh, that's mine. Give me a photo.
Could you send that to me when you get a chance? Thanks. Thanks, Greg. Thank you all for moving the community.
Yes, so you're right. So Clerk Segris made a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. We will continue. Let me see. The next item is public comment on agenda items only. Is there any public comment on agenda items only? Public comment on agenda items only, and I'm going to just really also go online also. Okay, so we please give your name, and we have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Sure. Daniel McCausland, 328 North Haggerty Road. This is pertaining to item 2 on the general calendar. So at the Planning Commission, I voiced this question. Wasn't given an answer. On these shared access point driveways that are being encouraged on these developments, who accepts the liability on these driveways? So if a property is being redeveloped and there's a shared access point driveway, and here's the questions that I have. 1, is it mandatory? 2, is it optional? 3, is it part of the approval process? And 4, is it encouraged any way? Like, say, by the Planning Commission? And is the decision weighted in any way by a legal standard that would make that driveway permissible? Again, it circles back to liability of the both owners and the potential impact that could have on the property. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get back with you on that. Any others in the audience? Any others? I'm looking online for any public comments on agenda items only. I don't see any hands raised. You can raise your hand by the arrow at the bottom. Any public comment? No public comment online. Okay, thank you. We have another public comment at the end also. We also can answer questions if we have the responses by then. Okay, can I have a motion to pay the bills?
Madam Supervisor, I motion that we pay the bills.
Motion made by Treasurer Slavin, supported by Trustee Snyderman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, then we have the Youth Advisory Council presentation. So please go over to the podium and let us know your names before you present.
Hello, my name is Monsi Khan.
Hi, I'm Shreysha Gaddam, and I'm the Vice President of the Youth Advisory Council.
Today we'll be providing a report on the Youth Advisory Council's activities throughout the past months. We'd like to start with the youth program evaluation. We've distributed and received feedback from the following programs: Lead Like a Girl, Be a Model Man, the Canton Youth Connection, Canton Teen Connections, and Transpire.
And we did receive meaningful feedback, and these programs have been making adjustments to their programs. And a few adjustments that they made were like getting clarity into like what they want to do.
YAC has made it a goal to expand our volunteer efforts this year. We've done so by working with and facilitating block teen night outs, taking over the Heritage Park Story Trail from Canton Leisure Services, and assisting with teardown and setup at special events around Canton.
So our needs assessment, we've been working on it previously, and we plan to distribute it this May. And an overview of what we've done so far is like create questions for teens that are able to like discuss about specific topics like mental health, drugs, and racism, and like what their overview on what they think it is.
YAC is expanding our DEI work with a call to youth artists to give them a platform to represent their original artwork. This artwork will be used to give a platform to underrepresented holidays and events. It'll be displayed in the Teen Block and Youth Center. The youth grant program has started up around this time of the year, and we have begun with distribution on that. This grant will be used to provide funding to youth programs all around Canton. We would like to ask the Board of Trustees if we could provide a digital form of the grant application and a call for work for our youth artwork in a digital form to the supervisor's office. We would also like to ask for communication with volunteer work all around Canton that you guys might run into or find beneficial to the Youth Advisory Council. That'll be it.
That's it?
Great,
Does
thank
the
you.
board- no, wait. Does the board have any questions or comments?
I want to thank you for presenting this. It's great. Looks like, you have a lot of plans, and you're looking forward to seeing what the township needs for volunteers. So we will gather some things. I can think of a few and get back to you on that. So thank you for asking.
Thank you.
So for your grant application, I'm sorry, could you just tell me what you're asking for again? You want us to just put this on Facebook? Is that what it is?
Yes, we would like to ask the Board of Trustees if there's any groups that you think would be interested, or any youth groups that you think would be interested in this grant application and could use the funding.
So you guys have raised the funds and you're seeing if we can find some people. Okay, I see. Stephen, I think you had a question?
Oh, yeah, concerning that, is this put up on the Canton Community Foundation grants page? Because they are set up to put grants out there probably more easily than the township is. Yeah, I would talk to them. And so they can, Beth Mead can put the grant up there, but then once there's a link, then we can advertise for it on the, yeah. And there was one, oh, and also talk to them about volunteering opportunities, because I think they probably would know that, have some themselves and know of some in the community.
First of all, yes, please send us an electronic copy of the application. I'm happy to send it out to my contacts. So, I also am wondering, maybe I missed it, but for your artwork, the DEI initiative that you're doing, will there be a show or anything that the public can go to see? Or?
I mean, they'll be displayed in the Teen Block and Youth Center. I don't know anything about like a public showing, but they will be displayed for youth to come and see in the Block Center.
I have a question. For the volunteering opportunities that you are looking for, like you said you already participated in certain events, right? So have you connected with the leisure services, because they have a bunch of volunteering I'm sure you have done that, because they have a bunch of scenarios where they need volunteers.
Yes, we have. We've done some volunteer work with Canton Leisure Services. As we said, we've taken over the Heritage Park Story Trail for them.
I believe some of your team also said they were going to help with the Cantathon, which is May 6th and 7th. So I know some of you might want to participate, but also maybe help mentor, some of the teams. That would be a great job, great assistance, definitely, because that's 24 hours. But you also talked about your evaluations of some of the programs, some of the feedback. What kind of feedback, could you give an instant about some of the feedback?
So in our evaluation, like, if you see it, like, there's like different like topics on like how you want to make their program better, which was like giving clarity and like how like protective and like how safe your program is and like your organization. And some of the, usually it was positive feedback, and some of them were just like a little, they still wanted to like make sure like it's like safe and all, if that makes sense.
Most of the data we've received was numerical, although we have had one of our members try to reach out for feedback on how the actual evaluation works and if they were able to implement it effectively. So when we can, we'll get back to you on that.
Thanks. Michael, I think you had something?
I just wanted to say, I think this is extremely clever, and I mean, it's actually brilliant. I love that youth in the community are going to have an opportunity to go through the process of grant application and grant writing. That is great, because I know many adults. So this is just a really cool opportunity to develop that skill outside of the grants or mini grants. Just the ability to go through that grant writing process is super educational and beneficial. So I want to applaud whoever's idea this was. For that, I also think it's phenomenal that you are also going to be reviewing the grants as well. So like you get that experience. And then the fact that you fundraised and are now putting that money back into programming in the community for youth, it like closes the circle in a complete way. And so I'm just very impressed with this. Well done. And I will also, I will forward the application to anybody or any group that I think will benefit from it.
Are you handing it to all the schools and the community?
Yes, when I can, I'll start distribution to some of the, like, at PSEP, I've already reached out to some of the coordinators for, like, Canton Congress and some of the robotics groups there. When I get a response back, I'll be able to forward the digital grant application to them.
Good job. Good job, team. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion for the consent calendar.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board approve or adopt the consent calendar as presented. Item C1, consider second reading of an amendment to Appendix A of the zoning code of ordinances to add drive-through restaurants to fast food restaurants as a special land use in the C3 regional commercial district and C4 interchange service district. Item C2, consider second reading of an amendment to Appendix A zoning of the code of ordinances to establish standards for solar energy systems. C3, consider approval of an extension of the contract with ARC Document Solutions for continuous scanning of the Building and Inspection Services Division documents. C4, consider approval of application for Michigan Liquor Control Commission special liquor licenses.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Segers, supported by Trustee Borninski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G1, onto the general calendar. Consider Joy Road Business Center condominium plan.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the following resolution, the approval of the condominium site plan for Joy Road Business Center. Whereas project sponsors requested condominium site plan approval for the office use on the subject parcel numbers at 45185 Joy Road. And whereas the Planning Commission reviewed the request and applicable criteria, voted 9-0 to recommend approval with conditions as the request meets the requirements of the Canton Township Code of Ordinances. We'll have to clean that one up. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton, Michigan does hereby approve the Joy Road Business Center condominium site plan in planning application, subject planning application number on subject tax parcel number at 45185 Joy Road, subject to any modifications required by the Township Legal Counsel to the master deed and bylaws.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The project sponsor proposes to convert the current medical office building at 45185 Joy Road to a condominium form of ownership. The original site plan was approved in 2000, and there are no development changes proposed to the plan except for some interior changes that have been approved by the Building and Inspection Services Division. Therefore, the design and conditions of the approved site plan remain in effect. The proposed condominium will keep the parcel boundaries the same, but will split the building into 3 units, which allows for different ownership of these units. A condominium form of ownership is common for multi-tenant office buildings where each practitioner owns their own space within the building, but the group of owners form an association that is responsible for the common areas. At its meeting on January 11, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the plan. If the condominium site plan is approved, the next step will be for the applicant to record the master deed and officially create the units within the condominium. Director Smith, do you want to add anything?
No, I have nothing else to add. It's pretty straightforward. Unless there's any questions, I'm here, and so is Patrick Sloan.
All right, thank
And it
you.
looks like the petitioner is here as well.
Yes, do you have any comments you want to make?
Oh, I'm just here to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, I'll start with the board. Any questions? No. Okay, oh, that would be number 2. These questions were on number 2, right? Yes. Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Item G2, consider site plan approval for Patel Brothers Grocery Store.
Madam Supervisor, I move the board adopt or approve the attached, the following resolution. Approval of the site plan for the Patel Brothers Grocery Store, whereas project sponsor has requested site plan approval for grocery store use on subject tax parcel at 6130 North Canton Center Road, whereas Planning Commission reviewed the request and applicable criteria, voted 9-0 to recommend approval with conditions as the request meets the requirements of the Canton Township Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton, Michigan does hereby approve the Patel Brothers Grocery Store site plan in the subject planning application on the subject tax parcel at 6130 North Canton Center Road, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, including correcting the landscape plans to comply with Article 5 of the zoning ordinance.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Snyderman. The applicant proposes to construct a Patel Brothers grocery store at 6310 North Canton Center Road, which is a 2.6-acre parcel located on the east side of Canton Center Road between Hanford and Ford Road. The former use of the site was Canton Computers. The site is zoned C2. Community commercial and grocery stores are principal permitted uses in the C2 zoning district. The proposed building is 1 story and 20,000 square feet. The site currently contains a vacant building which is proposed to be demolished. At its meeting on January 11, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the site plan subject to conditions. If the site plan is approved, the next step will be for the applicant to submit plans to the Engineering Services Division and Building and Inspection Services Division for review prior to construction. Director Smith, do you want to add anything?
Nothing to add unless there's any questions. It'll be nice to see this old building come down and something new come up in that area. But if there's any questions, I'm here, and as well as Patrick and the petitioner.
Do you want to add anything, the petitioner?
I'm here to represent the project for the architecture firm, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, thank you. The board, anybody on the board? Kate?
Yes, so I did speak with Patrick earlier about this, but I understand on the east side of the property, it shares a border or whatever. It borders onto the Discovery Middle School property. And I just want to make sure I understand that there is a fence that looks like it's either on the property line or on the middle school property. But I just want to make sure that you're thinking of the students there and that it's going to be safe for them, that there are barriers for, that will prevent them from accessing the construction site. Because it looks like it's set pretty far back from the road, with the parking lot in front and then the building. So just want to
Correct.
make sure that you're thinking about the students.
Absolutely. That's something that could be coordinated and arranged with the contractor once we've put the project out for bid and award a contract to a construction firm. So it certainly is an important thing to consider.
Right? I agree. Yeah, and just, to be a good neighbor and make sure that you communicate with the school. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, just a clarification, Anne Marie. Patrick on?
Yes.
Okay.
Right here.
Oh, Patrick's here. I don't know if this has anything to do with the citizen comment that was made earlier, which, by the way, I'm interested in the answer to the question, so once they respond, if you can send those to the board, that would be great. But there was mention of some kind of dead end in the planning commission minutes, and I didn't understand what they were talking about. Do you remember that, or should I look for it here?
There were some comments about the cross connections.
I thought, well, it might have been about the cross connections, that's what I wasn't sure about, but yeah, Mr. Cruz on the Planning Commission asked for additional information regarding a dead end that doesn't connect with the asphalt of the neighboring property.
That, it's probably referring to the property to the south on the plan where there is a cross connection shown on the Patel site plan. And there's potential for the site to the south that's a multi-tenant commercial center. It has Matari Coffee is the northernmost tenant there. And I've spoken with the owner of that shopping center about that potential for the cross connection. And I've also given him the petitioner's information. So that's something that hopefully can be coordinated through the course of construction.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was another dead end somewhere on the property or there was a road behind it, but as Trustee Berninski said, I see the schools behind it, so there's not really a road there or anything. So, okay, thank you.
Patrick, do you have responses to the question that the resident asked about the driveways?
Yeah, there's no overlay district on this subject property. It's a straight C2 zoning district with no overlay. For properties that are along Ford Road that are in the overlay of the Central Business District, which is much of Ford Road west of 275 to Canton Center Road, many of those properties along Ford Road are in an overlay district called the Central Business District Overlay. And that zoning district requires lots to provide cross connections. So when we're out on Ford Road, shopping, services, things like that, a lot of folks notice that they can get from adjacent site to adjacent site, in some cases from 1 mile road to the next mile road or half-mile road, all the way through cross connections. And that's happened over several decades. It's very intentional. It's in an MDOT access management plan from several years ago. It's in our zoning ordinance. And so over time, those cross connections have been made. There have been connections, easements, recorded so that those can be realized and cars ultimately taken off of Ford Road to help the traffic. Outside of the Central Business District in the straight zoning, there's not that zoning ordinance requirement for a cross connection. And it's not really a discretionary standard where there's a special land use or a planned development. Because it's a permitted use in this zoning district, there's not a requirement for a cross connection. But nevertheless, the Planning Commission, when they review plans, they look at best practices, ideas for potentially improving the site, both on the site and if there's an opportunity to make joint improvements with the neighbors. And so some of the questions that were raised at the Planning Commission meeting and that are in the minutes were about going forth with that cross connection to the south to make sure that that's something that would that would be constructed. In cases like that, it takes cooperation from the adjacent neighbor because it's not an ordinance requirement, so it is shown on the plan. So the neighbors would have to agree to the physical connection, both construction and terms, as well as any kind of an easement agreement between the properties. So that would be a private party agreement. We would want to have a copy of that at the township just so that it memorializes what's on the site plan. But it would be a private party agreement between two adjacent landowners.
Private party agreement would include liability then, is that correct, assuming?
I would defer that to our township legal counsel in terms of what kind of terms would be in the agreement and things of a legal nature that would cover.
I had the same question on so the liability issue, the legal counsel can get back to the citizen comment then.
Is it something mandatory that we require, or we just encourage it?
For outside of the central business district, it's encouraged, but I think difficult to require. And if we wanted to require, that's something we'd probably also have to work with our legal counsel on, is adding a condition of approval that's not an ordinance requirement that requires the property owner to do something and to some degree requires some cooperation from an adjacent neighbor. But in the central business district, it's much easier because it's an ordinance requirement and it's based on a plan, so it's easier for us to go to the applicants and say, it's an ordinance requirement, so we have to have this, even if it's one side building their access to the property line in the central business district.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Items G3, consider special land use for mini warehouse, true storage.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the following resolution: approval of the special land use for true storage. Whereas project sponsors requested special land use for use approval for a mini warehouse establishment use on the subject tax parcel at 7444 North Haggerty Road, and whereas Planning Commission reviewed the request and applicable criteria, voted 9-0 to recommend approval with conditions, as the request meets the criteria of special land use approval in section 27.03C of the zoning ordinance. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton, Michigan does hereby approve the special land use for the mini warehouse establishment use in the subject planning application on the subject tax parcel at 7444 North Haggerty Road, as the request meets special land use criteria of the Canton Township zoning ordinance pursuant to the information and plans provided, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, including required plan corrections during site plan review.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The applicant proposes to occupy an existing vacant building at 7444 North Haggerty Road, parcel is listed, for a mini warehouse establishment, true storage. The subject site is located on the east side of Haggerty Road, south of Coppernick Road. The subject site is zoned LI, light industrial, and many warehouse establishments are special land uses in the LI zoning district, subject to section 6.02M of the zoning ordinance. At its meeting on January 11, 2023, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and recommended approval of the special land use subject to conditions. If the special land use is approved, the next step will be for the applicant to submit a site plan application. Director Smith, do you want to add anything?
Not much, just to add that, to remind everybody, this is already an existing building that's vacant, and it's on the east side of Haggerty, between Haggerty and I-275.
The applicant want to add anything?
My name is Jadong. I'm with DLZ. I'm the engineer for this project. With me tonight is Judge Sullivan. He's also the applicant with True Storage. Yes, just like the director said, we're trying to convert this existing structure into a climate-controlled, indoor self-storage facility. And, we're proposing, resurfacing the parking lot, try to make it look pretty. And the majority of work will be interior. And we're also proposing reducing a lot of impervious surface to promote, green spaces. So we're here tonight to request the final, special land use approval from this board. And I hope you guys can support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions or comments? Stephen?
There's something in it today existing, or it's empty, not being used right now? Empty, okay.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Item G4, consider approval of the purchase of one 2023 F-150 for facilities maintenance.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the purchase of one 2023 Ford F-150 from Gorno Ford at 222025 Allen Road, Woodhaven, Michigan, 48183, via the MI deal or My Deal contract number 4WDL-0073A in the amount of $40,616. Funding for this vehicle will come from the capital outlay vehicles subject account.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. In 2022, Facilities Maintenance had a 2002 GMC Sierra work truck taken out of service and sold because the overall poor condition and age of the vehicle did not warrant repair. At the time it was taken out of service, this vehicle met all four of the criteria for replacement according to the Fleet Replacement Policy PW 607. If approved by the board, Facilities Maintenance will purchase a 2023 Ford F-150 as a replacement. The township will utilize the My Deal contract as stated. Pricing received from Gorno Ford. The vehicle that is proposed to be purchased has been evaluated for alternative fueling sources, including electric. It should be noted that this vehicle will not be hybrid or electric model due to the limited availability of fully electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles at this time. Director Smith, do you want to add anything?
Just something real quick. It was brought to my attention earlier. Someone asked about the pricing on the spec sheet. Trustee Berninski called. The quote is actually from August of last year, but I just want to clarify that that's normal. That's actually when Ford releases the pricing and when we can actually order the vehicles. So that is for 2023 pricing, even though the quote was from August of last year. But that's when they release their fleet pricing for the following model year.
Thanks. Any questions or comments? All right. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G5, consider approval to purchase a Toro Greenmaster 3150Q mower for Pheasant Run Golf Club.
Supervisor, I move to award the purchase of a Toro Greenmaster 3150Q mower from Spartan Distributor at 487 West Davidson Street, P.O. Box 246, Sparta, Michigan, 49345, in the amount of $43,158.18 to be paid from the subject account number for capital outlay, machinery, and equipment.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Snyderman. Leisure Services is recommending the purchase of a Toro Greenmaster 3150Q mower in the amount of $43,158.18 for Pheasant Run Golf Club. The purchase of the mower will be replacing two Jacobson Green Sking 6 mowers that are currently unrepairable due to the inability to purchase parts. These mowers were approximately 20 years old and have lived well beyond their life expectancy of 10 years. The mowers have been sent to fleet maintenance where they will be disposed. Spartan Distributors is the sole authorized provider of Toro equipment within this designated area. Therefore, Canton Leisure Services is recommending to award the purchase of a Toro Greenmaster 3150Q mower to Spartan Distributors at a cost of $43,158.18 to be paid from the account as listed, capital outlay, machinery, and equipment. Director Holmberger, do you want to add anything?
Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Stephen?
Will you eventually be getting a second one to replace? Because you're going down two and adding one back? Or
Yes, we have more in the budget for next year.
those two aren't workable now, so you're already down to two, right?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G6, consider approval of a purchase order for Workman Square maintenance.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order for Reliable Landscaping at 4285 Lily Road, Canton, Michigan, 48187, the amount of $34,424, and to approve the attached budget amendment for the.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Berninski. Workman Square is a property on the corner of Denton and Cherry Hill Roads, adjacent to Workman Elementary School. The The square was developed through a 2006 easement agreement between Canton Township and the Plymouth Canton Community Schools and is an uptown plan development. Workman Square provides a connection to the surrounding walkways and entrance to the school while featuring an inviting seating area and adjacent green space for neighboring residents and families attending the school. While the square is maintained by Leisure Services, the original brickscape and landscaping needs a refresh. Reliable Landscaping, who is currently under contract with Leisure Services as the township's lawn and maintenance provider, has provided a quote of $34,424 to reset the pavers, replace plantings and benches, restore beds and outside grass areas. This will greatly enhance a community space while restoring it as a desired environment. Reliable Landscaping has provided similar services to other areas throughout the township, and Leisure Services is recommending approval of a purchase order. Director Holmberger, do you want to add anything?
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
So similar to the question I asked before, will you be working with the school to coordinate this?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we've been in regular contact with them over this property.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely needed. I ride my bike through there, and the pavement is all uneven at this time. So I was wondering if you had any information on how much it's used.
Do not.
Would be nice if we could put something there to attract people to the area. It's not something that we have to think about right away, but just I kind of think about like Central Middle School in Plymouth with the Veterans Memorial in front of it, and people go and sit and reflect in that area. And with, I don't know when the grocery store will be on that corner eventually, but, and there's still some growth to happen to push residences, more apartments or whatever it's going to be, townhouses that way. But yeah, it'd just be nice to think of something to attract people there. But it's good, at least it's getting a facelift, so thank you.
Michael?
Yeah, I'll just agree with the sentiments of Trustee Snyderman. I do think, yeah, when the Greenland Sage Bakery comes in on the one corner, and then eventually when we get a workable suggestion for the other hard corner for something that's mixed use or commercial, you know, having a public space like that adjacent to commercial is, I mean, it's, you see it, you know, in any type of like town anywhere. That stuff, when it's planned out and done like that ahead of time, it's just, it's invaluable. You can't put a price tag on having that green space in those areas, but it does seem a little incongruous when, you know, there's a field.
Yeah, across the street.
Yeah. For sure.
No, I agree. I know that we had, a couple years ago, they had talked about just making that all grass, but I'm glad that we're making the benches more upgraded. Because when you go to the different places in the township, you see the benches, and people use them. They sit down, and especially when you're waiting for your kids for school.
Yeah, I've driven by and I've never sat there, but it looks like a nice place for parents or, you know, even people probably can walk from Cherry Hill Village there and, yeah.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G7, consider appointments to the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board, this is in two motions. I move that the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton approve the appointments of Jaspreet Gill, Rose Harrell, Marada Jenkins Carter, and Vivek Shivan to the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage for a 3-year term to expire December 31, 2025.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. Due to multiple vacancies on the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage, applications were reviewed and interviews were held by a panel consisting of township elected officials and the recreation supervisor. As a result, the interview panel is recommending the appointments of Jaspreet Gill, Rose Harrell, Murata Jenkins Carter, and Vivek Chavan to the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage. Additionally, since its vacancy in 2020, the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage has not had a partnership for the arts representative. With the onboarding of the new Community Program Director for the Partnership for the Arts, Kevin Ryan, it is also being recommended to appoint Kevin to the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage as a Partnership for the Arts representative. Director Holmberger, do you want to add anything?
No, this one's pretty straightforward.
Trying to see if any of them were online, but I don't see that. Okay. Any questions from the board? Comments? Tanya?
Yeah, as a member of the commission, we have been looking forward to, having more people in there because it really helps in, working with different events that happen in the community. And I also think Kevin Ryan is a great addition to the commission because he brings in a lot of expertise as he works with the Village Arts Factory, and he has some, we get some really good feedback from him, and he comes up with some great ideas as part of the commission.
Kate?
Yeah, so I was involved in some of the interviews, and we had a really great set of candidates, and I think they're all going to be fabulous. So I'm really excited that they're joining the commission, and I echo what Tanya said about Kevin. He brings an energy to everything he does, and I think it's wonderful that he is here working with us. So.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Madam Supervisor, I move to, that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Kevin Ryan as the Partnership of the Arts Representative to the Canton Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage.
Made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G8, consider authorization of 2023 Specialized Operating Assistance Program Agreement with SMART.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the fiscal year 2023 Specialized Services Operating Assistance Agreement between SMART and the Charter Township of Canton for $43,377, and to authorize Township Supervisor to sign the contract on behalf of the township.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The township submitted its annual specialized services application with SMART to provide funding for the Canton Mobility Transportation Program. SMART has notified the township that it is eligible for $43,377 under the program from October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023. Canton Leisure Services is requesting board authorization for the Specialized Services Operating Assistance Program Agreement with SMART. Director Holmberger, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, we received 2 grants for this program, typically the Specialized Services Grant and the Municipal Credit Grant as well. So you'll see in future months the Municipal Credit Grant coming before the board for acceptance as well. The timing is just different, so we always have 2 board actions on this annually, and it certainly, these funds offset some of the costs for a vital program for our seniors and individuals with disabilities in Canton. So we look forward to continuing this program.
Questions, comments? Kate?
I'm proud to be in a community that has this kind of service for our seniors and our individuals with disabilities, and glad that we can continue it year after year.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Consider approval for a purchase order for shipping costs of 3 solar lights for Canton's parks.
RBA of the night. Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the purchase order for shipping costs to Clear World LLC at 1613 Justin Road, some city in Louisiana, 70001, in the amount of $2,650 to be paid from the subject account number, capital outlay land improvements, and to approve the attached budget amendment.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Berninski. At the December 13, 2022 board meeting, the Board of Trustees approved item G6 for the purchase of 3 solar lights for Canton's Park from Clear World LLC. At the time, shipping was not included in the proposal because of the unknown cost due to lead time. Therefore, Leisure Services is recommending to approve a purchase order to Clear World LLC in the amount of $26.50 to cover the cost of shipping. A budget amendment is necessary. Director Holmberger, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, that was this may be Mr. Segrist's favorite favorite RBA of the night, but that was my favorite motion of the year right there for some city in Louisiana, so thank you for that. This was, really, it comes down to my error. I didn't include the shipping costs. I was excited about getting these lights. We've received them. They look fantastic. They'll be going up in the coming months. It'll be kind of a test to see if these lights work, and we can expand the usage of these lights. Putting some light in Barchester Park for security reasons in the evening. That's been a request from the neighborhood for years, but we have no power there. So we're excited to put these lights out there, and we'll put one on the east side of the summit where the staff park, so that they have better security as they're walking out late at night or coming in early in the morning. So it's really neat to be putting these in. So thank you for your support.
Questions or comments? No? Michael?
Do you have the lighting at Copper Park?
I believe there is lighting from the apartment complex or condos there, but I would have to verify that. I think as they have lighting in their parking lots and street lighting there, so that covers the parking area there, because we're not going to light the whole, like, all of Barchester Park, really just the parking area. Yeah, and the nice thing with these lights too is you can control them via Bluetooth, so we can control the brightness of them. So if we go in and put these lights in and the neighbors say, oh, now it's too bright, we can go reduce the level of the brightness to 60% or 40%, or if we want it to be, from 5 to 11 p.m., 1%, and then from 11 till morning, we can have it reduced to 30%. We can set those schedules and change those easily with a Bluetooth phone.
Know how far the distance of the phone has to be from the light?
That I don't know right now.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
Board is not contingent on that answer.
Okay. Whew.
Aren't you working on your?
Because they're
French
already
on
here.
Duolingo?
Yeah, there's French and then there's Cajun, and I don't know if those are the same thing, but I would assume that's maybe Metairie.
Sounds right. Any other questions or comments? Well, although, yeah, it does look, I can't wait till they're up. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G10, consider approval to purchase additional DocuSign and SolarWinds licenses.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the creation of a purchase order to DocuSign in an amount not to exceed $4,000 for additional licenses, and to approve the creation of a purchase order to SolarWinds in an amount not to exceed $2,340 for additional licenses.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. SolarWinds helps desk software and DocuSign e-signature software are both increasing in popularity amongst township employees as the township seeks to streamline their offerings and services. Due to more employees wanting to implement this software in their own departments, ITI is asking for approval to purchase more licenses to meet the needs of township employees and those they serve. Director Begbu, do you want to add anything?
No, really, just that as these utilities are being heavily utilized, we will continue to grow its utilization, so to say.
Questions or comments? No? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G11, consider first reading of an amendment to Chapter 14, Animals in the Canton Township Code of Ordinances regarding restitution for medical expenses.
Madam Supervisor, I move to introduce an amendment to Chapter 14 of the Canton Township Code of Ordinances and to table for consideration the text amendment for the Code of Ordinances for a second reading on February 28th, 2023. The end.
Support.
Made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Borninski. All those, do we have any questions? An amendment is being requested in the Canton Township Code of Ordinances pertaining to Chapter 14 Animals, Chapter 14, Article 1, Section 14.8 to allow for restitution of medical expenses for victims. Do we have any questions or comments? Dr. Bao, do you have anything to add to this one?
Yes, in 2013, this was a misdemeanor. We moved it to a civil infraction, and in doing so, one of the side effects is there isn't a mechanism for the local prosecutor to seek remuneration from the person responsible. So example would be a dog, your dog gets bit by another dog, and the vet bill would not, there's not a mechanism for the prosecutor to ask the court to help the victim with the vet bill. So this allows for that.
Questions? Right. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G12, consider waiving the bidding process and approve two proposals from EMCO Incorporated for internal promotional processes with an associated amendment to the 2023 police budget.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve waiving the bidding process to accept two proposals from MPCO, EMPCO Incorporated for internal promotional process of police sergeant and captain for a grand total not to exceed $24,895 and to approve the required 2023 police budget amendment.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The Police Department is requesting to waive the bidding process and accept two proposals from EMCO Incorporated to run internal promotional processes for the position of police sergeant and captain. This process would establish a 2-year eligibility list as required by union contract. The cost for up to 20 officers to participate in the sergeant promotional process is $17,195, and the cost for up to 9 lieutenants to participate in the captain promotional process is $7,700. Additionally, a request is included to amend the 2023 police budget to accommodate this expense. Director Bao, do you want to add anything?
Would like the board to know, there's only 6 lieutenants in the department, and there's only 4 that's eligible for this process. And likely only 3 will participate, so that bill would be likely around $7,700 or less for the captain's process. So when you look at the billing, that's why it comes out to $7,700.
Stephen?
So I was unclear when I read it. Is this training or is this like HR kind of thing? Or?
This is a vendor that's contracted through HR to run the promotional process.
Okay, so it's a specialized process that needs to be taken, and so we need to contract that out.
Collective bargaining, all the rules around the civil service process is understood very well by IMCO. They're a very well-respected company.
Okay, thank you, Chad.
Else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G13, consider approval of renewing FOIA software.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the renewal of the Next Request software and services in the amount of $18,795 with 75% of the cost to be covered by the Canton Police Department and the remaining 25% to be covered by the Clerk's Department.
Motion made by Clerk Segrist, supported by Treasurer Slavens. Implementation of the Next Request software has proven to be an efficient, secure, and transparent way to manage records requests through the organization. Annual cost sharing is intended to be continued for the renewal. The Clerk's Office and Police Department will share the costs in a 75-25 split. This year, costs have increased by $894.96 due to regular cost increases and new features that ensure maximum efficiency and compliance. Clerk Segrist, do you want to comment?
Nope.
All
Unless
those
there's
in-
any questions, I will more than happily
Questions?
answer any.
Stephen?
Can you remind me, or maybe it wasn't discussed, but will this eventually be software that's integrated into some of the ERP packages that we've been discussing, or will it always have to be separate? Or not decided?
That's an interesting question. Next Request was purchased by Civic Plus, which handles our website. Additionally, we use Civic Rec currently for leisure services, and there has been some discussion about potentially using Civic Clerk for agenda management. Additionally, MuniCode was purchased by Civic Plus. So there is some consolidation in the field as it stands. But I think, I don't know that this would qualify as the business end with regards to the ERP from what you're discussing from our study session. But ITI Director Victor Bagbu could answer that question probably better than I can.
I think you covered the grounds on that. However, during the process of the ERP, we will still be looking for any opportunity that will help us to consolidate, because that's really one of the top priorities for us. We also, as Clerk Segrist mentioned, the platform of Civic Plus has been, increasing. They've been buying up a whole lot of other ancillary services that we've been using. Like he mentioned, they bought MuniCode. They just bought, the Next Request, and we're seriously looking at the Civic Clerk to see how that will play in as well. But I would like to also remind the board here that anything that happens in the on the side of Civic Plus are those things that I've mentioned in the study session that are in the other category, which we will definitely look at critically in another session to see if we are actually operating under that whole platform optimally as we should. So we can further discuss this when we get to that particular study session.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G14, consider sale of Canton property and authorize Supervisor Graham Hudak to sign all documents necessary to close on the sale.
Madam Supervisor, I move that Canton accept the letter of intent from Colliers International and authorize the supervisor, yourself, Graham Hudak, to sign the formal purchase agreement and any other documents necessary to complete the sale of the parcel located on Lots Road.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. On December 5th, 2022, Canton's Economic Development Manager received a letter of intent from Colliers International on behalf of Scanlon Properties offering $210,000 for approximately 8.55 acres of Canton-owned property on Lots Road as listed. The final purchase price has been negotiated at $280,000. Scanlon Properties plans on developing an industrial distribution center on the property along with the parcels immediately to the north and south. The letter of intent has been reviewed by legal counsel, and should the board approve the letter of intent, a formal purchase agreement will be drafted and signed by Supervisor Graham Hudak. Deputy Supervisor, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd just like to add briefly that the buyer, in this instance, has requested a due diligence period. That likely will take several months for them to do that due diligence on the property. They're also attempting to combine this parcel that they're purchasing from the township with parcels to the north and to the south. That could take additional time as well. We'll be waiting for them to kind of go through that process before the final sale is approved.
Comments? Kate?
So the letter of intent has I assume their first offer for the price. So it's been negotiated up to 280,000. Do we have anything in writing, or is that going to come at the time that you have a purchase agreement?
Yeah, we're waiting to get the final purchase agreement back from Foster Swift, but that's the price that's been agreed upon between the township and the buyer.
Okay, and they don't currently own those parcels to the north and south, right?
No, they do not.
Okay. Will their intent to purchase the property depend on being able to get those two parcels?
That's not in the current purchase agreement draft that I've seen.
Thank you.
Questions? All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda, we have public comment. Let me look online. Do we have any online public comment? Any online public comment? No public comment online. How about in the room? Any public comment? Okay.
Good evening again. Daniel McCausland, 328 North Haggerty Road. Watching the meeting of the Planning Commission the other night, I believe it was their February 6, 2023 meeting, a reference was made to the term RECC accreditation by Aaron from the Planning Department. The proposal and discussion was to adopt a practice to allow the Planning Commission, an adopted panel, to approve site plans. This would allow the bypassing of the Township Board of Trustees elected panel. This was talked about under a directive of time savings or efficiency. I would like a written matter of fact or a written matter of law that would support this possible change of this practice. Thank you.
Any other?
On the question prior about the liability, will I get that in writing, an answer? Thank you.
Questions? Okay.
Policy for what type of real estate? Who handles it? How do we remarket it? Do we put it out for bid? Do we solicit it? It seems like we've been developing a lot of assets that are taxpayers held. We don't even know. I mean, the piece on Lots Road, it's obviously undervalued. There's a piece that was purchased at Ford and Sheldon recently. And I believe there's a piece that's going to be purchased, or there's a proposal for a purchase on Cherry Hill Village. I mean, we're not in the real estate business with tax dollars. I don't want to see my tax dollars going to buy speculative real estate or being bought and sold. So if there's a policy, I'd like it. I'd like to have it. And if there's not, I suggest we get one. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Public comments? I believe one of the people who's left the room had made a public comment asking if we could hold a moment of silence for what happened in Lansing yesterday at Michigan State University. I think he stepped out, so we'll have a moment of silence for what happened for 30 seconds. Okay, thank you. Do we have any staff comments or anything, any events happening? No? All right. We'll move on to board comments. I'll start on this side. Tanya?
Yeah, I just want to, my hearts go out to the people in our community whose children, you know, who were in really a state of fear yesterday night during the MSU shooting incident, and I have been in contact with a few residents, and I was checking on my friends whose children were there, and it was really a hard time. So I'm just saying that I know it's a time for us as a community to come together and support, our children who are who are young adults and who have gone through a tough time yesterday and will face this continuously they will have, because of what happened yesterday, it will be a huge issue for their mental health. So we hope we can support them as a community.
Michael, did you have anything to add? Kate?
So, yeah, I echo what Tanya said. I have 3 young adults in my house, and, it hits home for me. And I am hoping that we don't have to go through this again. I fear we will. But my heart goes out to everyone who was affected. It's terrible as a mother to witness this and to see the kids having such fear. It's very hard for everyone. So yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm trying to be a little happier today. Today is a special day in my family because it is both my mother and my mother's birthday. So on a happier note, I'm wishing both of them a happy 83rd birthday, as they not only share a birthday, but they were born in the same year and also in the same city of Detroit. So. Yep, mother and mother-in-law.
Wow. Yeah, you guys both said it very well, so I won't add anything. It was a scary night. And no, nothing else to add. Thank you.
Echo what my colleagues have said. And, prayers not only for the students, also for the first responders, because I'm sure it's difficult on everybody. On a lighter note, it's Valentine's Day. Health Heart Month, so make sure that you and your loved ones are taking care of your heart. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks. So we had a couple emails today because of last night, especially it warranted people asking this, and Chief Chad, you could probably answer this. A couple that I received asked, now we give away trigger locks correct? That's a program we have.
Money right now.
So a resident can come ask for trigger locks for guns to keep them safe in their homes.
Correct.
Some of the emails I also asked if we could do a gun buyback program. I don't know if Canton's ever done that before.
Probably 15 or 20 years ago, we did one. I don't remember the funding mechanism, might have been internal, but we did have a program where people could turn in firearms. I don't remember the success, but I just remember it occurring.
I know in some communities they give away gift cards or something if you do that.
Right. There's many different promotion opportunities. So generally, it could be at a neutral site or at the police department. It could be organized.
Board thinks about that, or?
Do we do any gun safety classes, or have we done that in the past? I know Wayne County volunteer Wayne County sheriffs do gun safety classes. I know, and then they give trigger locks for free, but I know we have some. But do we do anything along that?
The only gun safety that comes to mind that we've done was with DNR. We've had officers that were instructors for the DNR, and we taught children, usually young adults or children, how to be safe hunters. But CCW classes, and those have been all private that I know of. But it could be an option, a community engagement opportunity. It could be part and parcel to another, like Citizens Police Academy, which will start back up with as COVID subsides.
I'm on that. If anybody has any thoughts on that, let me know. I know that, yeah, it is, our public safety was on standby yesterday, during everything unfolding. And I know that all of us, because Canton has such strong ties to MSU, a lot of kids go there that belong to the community, teachers, things like that. So there was a big outcry there. And I know that my son was texting me and his friends who were under lockdown. So it was a big ordeal for many Canton residents yesterday, and parents and brothers and sisters.
Supervisor, I do have some knowledge. I believe there is a safe storage legislation going through also.
Yes, and I know our legislatures were talking about hopefully changing some stricter laws. All right, thank you. Okay, let me see. Nothing else? Anything else from the board? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We're adjourned.